Hello, welcome one and all to another episode of the Hard Rock Show. This time it's actually working. This is take 2 after I fucked up the first go around. So I'm Andrew.
I'm Dave, again.
Yeah, and you got the notification this time, Dave? It all worked?
Yeah, it came through. We're live.
We're doing very well here tonight, folks. It's a Monday night. We've had a bit of an up and down kind of week. There's a reason for these scheduled that we normally have a bit being out of whack. It'll all be revealed in due course. Had a lot on our plate behind the scenes, but all will be revealed very, very soon. But tonight we've got a lot to get through, as always. We're going to chat about the latest releases from Andrew W.K, Anette Olzon, and Amyl and the Sniffers as well. And we might, I don't know if you will, but we're hopeful that Tim might jump in at some point later on, but I'm not overly convinced it'll happen. We'll see what happens with that. We'll have a chat about a few different things coming up in a minute and all the usual stuff. But before we get stuck into things, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, all the usual things that everyone gets you to do, including us. Please do that because it helps us to get the word out there. Jump in the comments, say hi to us, give us your thoughts on everything that we're doing as we go along, share any thoughts, experiences, any of that sort of stuff that you'd like to talk about. Then get in there, ask questions. We're all for it. A big thank you, of course, to our fantastic sponsors in Squitting, Screen Printing, Alt, Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Please find them, give them a follow too. Their details, just like ours, are in the comment or the post or wherever it is you're tuning this from, whether it's live now or via audio later on or you're watching at your own time. Check out all the links you need are in the post or the description of this one there. And thank you for tuning in whenever you do decide to do so. But yeah, we'll get stuck into things in a second. But before we do, Dave, how you going? I saw you having a nice little chuckle there. I'm assuming you were having a chuckle with Julia when I fucked up the start a second ago. So.
Yeah, it was funny. He's like, what's going on? And I let him know and made a funny comment, which will be revealed at another date, which is hilarious. Apart from that, you always got to laugh at fun. That's the way you get through life. Yeah, I had a lazy Sunday yesterday. Spent a couple of hours watching a Spider-Man movie with my daughter, and then a couple of hours playing video games with my son. Cool. And today I spent most of the morning doing reviews for this, and then took him to the park this afternoon. Got out for a couple of hours. So, yeah, been fun. Nice day. Got some sunshine. Can't complain. How you been, man?
Yeah, good. Just busy. Like I said, a lot will be revealed in the coming weeks, but just flat out with stuff behind the scenes and working, but it looks like that'll be a bit quieter after tomorrow, so I don't mind a little bit of downtime. That won't hurt, so that'll be okay. We'll see what happens with all this sort of stuff going on, but there's always stuff to do. But generally speaking, yeah, pretty good. Got some sad news. So, Neen, Carl, if you tune into this one, condolences again about Hemi. Their dog passed away today. It was like a few years older than Fred. So, and Fred and him used to play when they were pups and that. So, way back when. So, just losing a pet always sucks. And when it's one you actually know from someone you care about too, with my brother and sister-in-law, it's just, kind of a shitty feeling. But that is honestly the worst of my problems. And if that's the case, life is pretty bloody good. So, yeah, can't complain. All good. Keeping busy, which is important. Yeah, got some comments here. Tough, our good friend Tough over on YouTube. Good to have you back with us, mate. He's going, g'day, fellow lockdown metalheads. Yes, that's all of us now. Nudes, our good friend Nudes is here again on Facebook. Thank you for jumping in. And Tough also said, just finished watching all these aliens docos. Now I'm scared to go out even more. Well, whatever keeps you entertained in lockdown, mate. Let us know which ones you're watching, because I don't mind checking out some of that sort of stuff for a bit of a what's going on out there. Yeah. Dave likes the horror stuff. We all know that. So
sci-fi is good. Horror side of sci-fi. But then some of those real life sightings and photographs and stories could be interesting.
Some of them, I don't mind. I've watched a few interesting ones over the years, so not sure, where it all ends up and stuff, but it's all very interesting stuff, if nothing else. It's entertaining for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it is it goes for. That's it. We're all pretty good. Let's move on. It's a bit quieter tonight. It's a Monday night, but we'll keep moving on. So we're going to kick things off. Oh, Tough's gone. It's all on YouTube. I gathered that because you're on YouTube, but I don't know which one you're talking about because there's a lot. Yeah. All right. Let's get on to the first of the hard rock happenings. Let's get some stuff going on here. Let's get some chatting going on. Oh, just before we do, Dean's jumped in on Facebook. Good to see you here again. Hey, lads. Hope all is well with you both. We are doing well. Hopefully the same for you too, buddy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right. So in the comments, we're going to put this in. It's a link to the very latest from Mastodon, the new single and video. So I put it into the chat earlier on for us to have a look at and see what we all thought of it. So the single is Pushing the Tides from Mastodon. They've got a new album coming out next month. Tim is, of course, extremely excited about anything to do with Mastodon. But what about you, Dave? You did the special with us. So how did you find this one by comparison, what you picked up with the special?
It wasn't that long ago that we went through all the albums. They were all pretty new to me, so I got pretty familiar with their sound pretty damn quickly. And this is, very distinguished as Mastodon. As soon as it starts, first couple of seconds, like, yep, they're not changing anything about them, but it's cool straight up. About 3.5 minutes. The video is pretty cool. I like the song.
That is cool.
On Spotify, but I checked the video out as well. And you got this masked guy running around in a maze and finds his way out, and then some giant hand, possibly the hand of God, interacts with him, and then the guy gets cooked at the end of the video. So I thought that was pretty cool. So
the horror, the hacker slasher fan, if you would have enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, he got oiled and seasoned before. Okay, what's going on here? This is twisted. I like this. But all in all, cool song, cool video. Well worth checking out if you haven't already. And this next album will be pretty interesting to see how they're continuing on from what they've done in the past.
Definitely keen on the new album. Like you, Mastodon were a relatively new experience for me before we did that special. Tim is the resident Mastodon expert for us here, but that special was a good eye opener, and I was really a big fan of the last few albums in particular. So this single, it starts off pretty aggressive, but then you get that sort of hooky kind of a groove going on as the song moves along. So it's one of those ones where it'll start off and hit you in the head a bit, and then it'll suck you in after that. So the video is very cool to go with it. I do enjoy the single. I'm very keen on the next album as well, because like I was saying, I think you and I both became pretty big fans of the band after the last special, considering it hadn't really done much. So very keen. If anyone there has checked it out, then let us know what you think of it as well, because we'd like to know what you think of the new music. We'll try and introduce some new music to these little Hard Rock Happening things as we go along. Dean's jumped in to say, love the long shirt, Dave, long sleeve shirt, Dave. There we go. So
it's actually two, to be honest. It's cold here. So I got Slash on top and Kiss underneath, and Kiss on the side.
Okay.
But I could wear a jumper and that's boring, so I decided to do this.
Dave with the striptease for the evening.
Yeah. Want to see my belly button?
All right. So next up for the Hard Rock Happenings, I'm going to copy this link here. It's a bit of a longer link. I'm not sure how this goes with putting it into the comments, but this is an interesting one. I think that from memory, Tim put this one into our Facebook group, the THRS Lounge, and it's about drummer Robin Stone, who sees his own business boom as bands trade touring for recording studios. It's basically, long story short, he's basically doing session drums from a buried shipping container. I don't know where, but he's just seeing business boom. So he does what he does and uploads it overnight here, which means that over in the US, for example, they're getting the stems in the morning, and everyone's sort of working back and forth to do this thing digitally. We've seen a bit of this sort of stuff on the rise, especially over the last sort of half decade, but especially now with COVID and that hitting everything. Everyone's doing everything remotely. It's just another example of that going ahead. What do you think of it?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, everyone, if they want to keep active, they've had to find new ways of doing things, and the technology's there. If you're tech savvy enough to keep yourself busy and keep growing whatever it is you want to do, then it's an awesome idea, I think. And he sounds pretty both resourceful and one of those people that if he wants something to happen, he'll make it happen. So I think stories like this are pretty cool to hear, because kind of inspires people that if what they usually like to do, what they usually do for their business or their own personal creativity, you get a few roadblocks and you find a way to work around them. And it's just cool to hear stories like this.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I think that this sort of stuff I think it's sort of really well known, but sort of not well known at the same time. I was having an interesting chat with my sister not too long ago, actually, and she didn't realize how much artists struggle when it comes to things like streaming royalty rates and just generally royalty rates across the board, not just streaming, but radio play and that. And so she had her eyes open a little bit in that regard. And so it's cool how people like us, we all know what the artists go through and then what they have to do to make a living, which includes things like this. But I think articles like that are really cool to give sort of a broader spectrum approach to understanding what's going on with the arts, especially in everything to do with COVID these days. So I think it's a cool article to see going on, and two, credit to him for making it work. I think it does go to show that, I mean, we've pivoted to do this sort of stuff and change the platform, change the format, everything that we do because of the whole shit going on in the world. And it's good to see other people embracing more. And we've seen a lot of really cool projects come out of this, like the lockdown videos that have happened where they've done things like what we're doing here. And like Charlie Benanti did the album earlier this year and stuff as well. So there's been a few albums coming out of it like this way. So when it was a novelty before, now it's like almost the norm. And so I think that's really cool to see what's happening now in that space, and what can happen next in this space is going to be even more interesting to watch play out over the next sort of 12, 24 months as people get more and more used to it. Because I think that people are going to get really used to doing this sort of stuff very, very soon. And it is the whole convenience age. So the easier you can do this sort of stuff, I think it allows bands and artists to be more productive overall if they use their time effectively. So we'll see what happens. We could actually end up with a lot more output, I think, especially with the impact of Spotify on that. It's a different topic entirely now, but if you think about Spotify, trying to stay relevant all the time, if a band can get together via these platforms and write and record stuff, send it off somewhere else to get mixed and mastered, they get it out, there's a single done. You can do how much of those things so long as your budget allows you to do so. That's what I think is pretty cool about it all, to be honest. Alrighty, final bit of the hard rock happenings, which is a very cool one that I have to thank both you, Dave, and our good friend Sally. So Sally, if you jump in later on, hopefully you'll see this one because she brought this one to us in the lounge, and Dave, you put it in the chat today. And this is Elton John talking about Metallica, in particular the song Nothing Else Matters, and some very high praise indeed for the band. So Dave, you spotted it, you shared it. This is a pretty touching little moment. So what did you think?
I thought it was great. They're kind of a surprise Zoom hookup when Metallica were doing the interview. Miley Cyrus was there because she covered the song with Elton John, and then we realized, hey, we got Elton John on Zoom. And he's just singing them praises about how it's such a beautiful song, great melodies, and he was really happy to be able to cover it. And James got a bit tearful. And for a song that's 30 years old now and a band that's 40 years old, it's kind of validation, kind of validation from someone who's outside the whole heavy metal world to really appreciate what you've done. You know, like it or not, Metallica is not pigeonholed into one particular genre anymore. They haven't been for a very long time. And when you get, originally thrash metal was kind of like the outside of music, and it would never be given a look in. And Metallica kind of changed the world in respect to that. And when you got artists that probably never would have given it a look in 40 years ago, and now saying it's one of the best songs ever written, it's quite validating for him, I think. And I think, for something he probably just sat on his couch and came up with something he thought that was pretty cool, ballsy move to put it on their album at the time. But certainly took him to a whole other place and took music to a whole other place too. So it was a cool little video to finally watch.
I think the interaction between Lars and James when that was happening was pretty cool as well. Lars was the one that sort of was doing the speaking, because I think James was a little bit overcome, to be honest, with the emotional side of things. You could see him wiping away the tears, and he didn't really know what to say because his mind was blown. I mean, Elton John is sitting there saying it's one of the most beautiful songs he's sort of heard and had a chance to play in that. And this is from a guy who's written, whether you love or don't like Elton John's music, he's written so many songs that are so iconic and have stood the test of time and have really important bookmarks in history as well. And for that guy to come out and say that this song is one of the best ones he's heard, it's pretty remarkable stuff. And for someone who's been around for it's people like to get awards and all sort of stuff, but validation from your peers is often more rewarding or emotional in its own way than it is to just get a lot of random praise. That doesn't mean the praise, it doesn't mean any less, but it's just when it's someone who knows the process and has done more than you have kind of thing, and they praise what you've done, it's pretty fucking powerful. And I think you see that come through. Like I was said to Sally in the lounge chat, and that saying that, it looked like, the gut punch in the right way when the moment landed for him. And it's a really cool moment. I like seeing things like that. I like getting. I think unless you've got a full-blown gimmick. I mean, even Ghost, probably the last band to really try and pull it off, and even then that gets leaked and all the stuff goes wrong. But getting to see the human side of things is what, is cool about this sort of platform, going back to the previous part of the Hard Rock Happenings. And so I just thought it was a really nice touch, and, the humanity of it all and how art impacts people is, it never ceases to amaze you. When you watch that, you sort of get a bit emotional yourself watching people get caught up in that kind of stuff too. So it was a really cool moment. I really enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's well worth, it's about a 5-minute clip from the Howard Stern interview that they did. Not long at all. Just give it a few minutes of your time, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, because I reckon it's worth looking at. Before we get to our little fun stuff for the Hot Topic section, Tough said Elton was funny as hell in The Kingsman. He's not bad in front of a camera. Good old Elton. But also he said, you guys going to get together and sing Imagine? If you are, may I suggest Metallica 1? I don't think you're going to get us together singing anything much unless we're roaring fucking hammered. We're
I just want to go if I'm drunk. I don't think I can do Imagine. So I think I've done Imagine on SingStar.
I'm about to say I've seen footage of you with the SingStar stuff going on when you've had a few too many.
If nothing else, it's entertaining. It's great with the volume down.
Oh man, I think the last time I did anything like that, I did some drunken SingStar in Germany well over a decade ago. And I think the only time I've gotten anywhere near a microphone was once to actually help Ordemia at the Lucky 13 gig we had with them there, where Tony's voice was shot, and so I jumped there and did a verse of actually, funnily enough, one. Just belted it out as a funny little moment. I don't think that was ever seen or heard of by anyone ever again, but there was a moment there for a minute. But yeah, that's as close as it gets. I think that if we get that hammered in public, we have toyed with the idea of sort of getting together on stage and playing a cover song or two, just for a bit of fun one night. But
that'd be fun.
It's never gotten off the ground, though. I don't think we can find the time, but it would be funny to do it if we could. We'll see what happens.
Do some covers and some wrestling entrance themes.
That would be fun, actually. That would be pretty fun. We'll see how we go with that, because I think if we start playing wrestling entrance themes, we're going to lose our fucking collective minds. So it'll be we'd have too much fun and just fuck it all up. Okay. So Tough said, just watch the Elton thing. The feels are strong there, definitely. And Dino said it was a touching point with the world being so low. That was uplifting. It's two different genres being crossed as well. James got emotional, so it meant a lot to him. And that's the part that I think is really cool. It's good to see that side of it, that it still means that much after so long, which is really, really cool. Alrighty, let's get into a bit of overrated, underrated. Let's have some fun with this one. The concept's pretty straightforward here. It's a few things this week will be inspired by Metallica Black Album 30th anniversary and the Blacklist and all that sort of stuff that's going around to celebrate it all. And so we're coming in with an overrated, underrated, a hot take on, are these albums where basically it is a re-recording of an album, different covers, different artists, and all that sort of stuff. There's been a few versions of these things over the years. Are those albums overrated, underrated, or about right? Sort of, what's your hot take on those ones, Dave? Do you like them, or are you a bit sort of over them? Where do you land?
I like them. I think I put it in the just right category. When I heard that Metallica were doing one for the Black Album with like whatever it is, 84 or 94 different artists doing the 12 songs,
insanely big.
Yeah, like fuck, that's pushing it a bit. But then I kind of get it, because Metallica has reached so many different people over so many different years and so many different genres. So why not? Have at it. And I'm just, when I first saw the list, I'm flicking through. I'm like, nope, not interested. Hey, Ghost, that could be cool. Nope. You
will pick the ones you want.
Yeah, The Who, cool. That'd be good. The one Volbeat did of Don't Tread on Me, that was fucking great. I thought that was a very cool interpretation of it. And then like Weezer did one. I'm just like, no, fuck that shit. Not even gonna go. But yeah, for your own personal taste and your own amusement, and shit like this isn't going to make the original album disappear from existence. Yeah, so it's a cool little fun thing if people like doing it. I mean, there's been bands that have done their own recordings of albums. There are bands that have done live recordings of albums, like Dream Theater did Master of Puppets. So have you heard that? Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Be interested to hear your take on it, because it's actually really good, and the keys have a guitar tone on them, so it doesn't sound all that jarring.
Okay.
And it's pretty impressive performance. I don't know if you like the vocals or not. That's a cool one too. They did Number of the Beast.
Okay.
But yeah,
check it out.
So it was a pretty cool idea what they did. They had a 2-night stand in the same city. The second set of the second half of the second night would be a cover.
Yep.
So
Okay.
you still get your fan favorites, and then you get like something different. And it's a cool way to see how much a band is influenced by artists growing up. So
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
It's a mildly spicy take. I think they're slightly overrated. I think they generate a lot of hype, but then disappear pretty quickly. And that's not a bad thing per se, but like what you said at the very top of your train of thought there, and that you're always going to look through and go, okay, I want to hear Rob Zombie do that song, or I want to hear Cradle of Filth do that one, or I want to hear Pete Steele do this one. You're going to pick your favorites. And depends on the style as well, because some of them have definitely got a theme or a genre. This one in particular has no fucking boundaries on it at all. Royal Blood's version, I forget the song they did, but Royal Blood did it actually. I'm not a huge fan of Royal Blood, but they did a pretty interesting version of the song they did, which was a bit ballsier than I expected, to be honest. Okay. So when you randomly click through, I like Ghost's take on the track they did as well. It's interesting. It's a novelty, though, and that's where I think it's a bit overrated, because I don't... See, for me, it's going to be very, very hard, because you're going to want these bands to do things in their own style, their own interpretation, and unless the band does a really fucking good job, it's on a hiding to nothing. People are going to shit can it, or they're going to forget about it. Also, so it's pretty, yeah, don't know. So I think they're a good thing, don't get me wrong, but I just think that the hype they generate versus how long they last in terms of people's memories, it's an interesting one to take in. So in that respect, I think they're slightly overrated, just a little bit, because they don't stand the test of time, if that makes sense. For the amount of noise they generate, they don't. A year from now, who's going to be listening to the Blacklist?
Yeah.
That's where I kind of put it down to. Everyone's, buying into it now, but by Christmas it'll be forgotten. So that's where I'm kind of like, it's a good project, interesting, but it's really flash in the pan kind of stuff for mine. But we'll see what happens here with this. Got a few comments. So Sumo has jumped in to say hi. So good to see you here again. Another regular of ours over on YouTube. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tough said do an ABBA sing-along. No fucking chance in hell. That ain't happening. But he did follow that up with this one, and I think you'll appreciate this one, Dave. Rob Halford, Xmas Songs is overrated. And that's a definite yes. Remember your comment about him in the eggnog?
Yep. Gagging on his eggnog. That was a bad album.
That wasn't good, that one. So you get when they miss, these albums go horribly wrong. That's the risk you take with them. When they miss, they go badly. Dean said, I like them especially if it's an anniversary of an album, not just the classic highest album. Celebrating with newer bands and artists over one band that meant a lot to them and an influence is fine to me, even when it's all different genres coming together. And that's a good take as well. Good point of view. Yeah. Very well reasoned out. Tuffle says some Blind Guardian albums are same old. That's, I think, the case with most bands in general. But there we go. Dean said, have you guys bought a bottle of the blackened whiskey that Metallica was a part of? What do you think of it? You purchased it.
I want to try it. I haven't had a bottle yet, no.
Haven't had a chance, unfortunately. I love my whiskeys, so I do have to get onto that one. And someone on our Instagram page, I forget the name right now, but he's apparently gotten a gift of that from his family. So well done to you. I'm exceptionally jealous. So it can be done. Just got to find a way to get it. That's all. It'll be on the to-do list, but with work drying up, I'm not sure I'll be able to justify the expense anytime soon, if that makes sense. We'll see how we go. That should be another one too. What alcohol? We should do like a drinking fucking session one day with what things are. Drinking is good. We love drinking in general. But Dean says, taste great as well, worth a try. All right, cool. If you know where to get it from, put a link in the comments for us, Dean, so we can go on and check it out. I'd like to get more information on that one. All right, cool. Moving on, let's get to a review. Got a few of these to get through, unless there's anything else you want to add there, Dave, or are we ready to get stuck into things?
No, I'm good. Let's do some reviews.
All right, let's do some reviews. Okay, first up, this will be a different one because this is why I was hoping Tim would make it, because this is his fucking band. But we'll go ahead and see how we go. This is Amyl and the Sniffers. That is the band. The reference track is Hertz, so Hertz. So Amyl and the Sniffers, Hertz. That's your reference track for this one tonight. And we'll get into our first review of the evening. This is Amyl and the Sniffers with Comfort to Me. 13 tracks for 35 minutes, the second album from the Australian band released September 2021 via ATO Records and independently. Produced by Dan Lascombe, mixed by Nick Launay, mastered by Bernie Grunman. 3 singles have been released, including Guided by Angels and Security. This album was originally slated for October, actually, but they brought it forward, which is a bit of a buck in the trend of things we've seen over the last sort of 12, 24 months. So there we go. Dave,
First of all, the name is fantastic. Something you're not going to forget very quickly. My first time listening to this band, and usually it wouldn't be something that I would like, but this was done really, really well. There's cool. There's a punk attitude and overall vibe to the music, but there's also an old school rock and roll idea that's going on behind there as well, and matched in really well. And a lot of bands focus on the rock and forget about the rock, and I thought they did all really well. Also sounds very Australian, very old school Aussie, which I thought was very cool. There's a very garage band feel to it, but it's not amateur stuff, and they've also got a very live feel throughout this album. It's all captured very well. There's a lot of energy, a lot of This would be a lot of fun live. You can hear it in the recording. The highlight for me is the lyrics. There is some fantastic wordplay, use of rhyme, repetition, and humor. The humor on this was very cool. The delivery it makes for an whole interesting listen. There's some interesting storytelling and observations, and made me think of Iggy Pop. This would have been like those old the birth of punk rock. Just people that would go not so much for the music, just to hear what the singer is talking or saying, or what his thoughts are. Abstract, free, but it's all planned. It's got a very loose and like almost spontaneous delivery, but it's all obviously planned out because it's all rhyming and it's all working together. It's very clever. Well, the songs do have that punk attitude and slight anger, but it's not an angry listen. The humor makes this a lot of fun, and the music makes it a lot of fun too. I'm not usually a fan of this type of guitar tone with the whole slightly overdriven fuzz. It always sounds weak, but this was done really, really well. I like this guitar tone a lot.
Cuts nice.
It cuts very nicely, and it plays really well with the singer as well. There's not dexterous, flashy, focus on the musician stuff, but there's some very cool guitar solos in here as well. And that worked well with the tone. And when they cut through, they really do work really well. They really use really well in the songs. The song Maggot and Security had the best guitar songs. At least I really enjoyed this. Again, it's like 8.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Guided by Angels, Security, Maggot, Capital, and Laughing. And so I had to look up some of the lyrics that were going on, but was that actually what they said? That was hilarious. But, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, as I covered off at the top, Tim is much more up to date with this band than I am. But he's when we've done clip shows and that, he's played these guys a few times. It's got that sort of old school punk, obnoxious rock kind of feel going on here. Iggy Pop is definitely something that I picked up on as well. But anything obnoxious, raucous, annoying, designed to get your attention in not necessarily the best possible way, is what this starts off as. But once you get past that, or once it hits you in the face, it sucks you in, because there's a lot more melody, groove, hook aspect to this than you really honestly expect. It's nothing complicated. It's pretty go-ahead kind of stuff, but it's very intelligently done. And the riffs, the drums, the attitude, especially in the vocals and lyrics, all come through on this really, really nicely. What I really liked about the lyrics on this one, I mean, you got the humor. I got a lot of darkness out of this too. There are some tracks on this like Knifey that are really dark and like make you think a bit about what, where the headspace is to write a song like that, and how it's an experience that you and I will probably never have being from that perspective. And it's got this approach which is really, I don't know, that intensity, that brooding stuff. Like I said, the lyrical stuff is where the wordplay comes in. The depth, the intensity, the aggression in it really shines in that regard. And the music just sort of comes along with it. It's a whole messy kind of feel, but it's the riding the edge kind of thing. It's not sloppy, not lazy, not crap. It's actually very well done. It's that whole organized chaos kind of thing going on, which they've done exceptionally well. And when you get into this one too, apart from being loose in the right kind of way in the performance and the playing, there's more detail in the production than you might think too. Security actually had some really nice panning and layering going on in that one. And like you said, the solos, when they cut through on this one, the mix really pushes them up, and they give it really the push it needs and get it to cut through. And they did pay attention to all the detail that you needed to with this stuff too. Not going to be, riveting from start to finish on a production standpoint, but they've done enough to really do the right thing and serve the songs. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day with this stuff. It's not complicated. It's all pretty go-ahead stuff. They do enough between the songs to really change it up, so it's not a boring listen at all. It's about the right length too. And they do the where the shift comes in is more in the tonality of the song. So I like the different use of guitar tone across this one to really break up what song was what and that. So it made it really easy to sort of separate things and made it fly by a bit more easily as well. It's one of those sneaky kind of records that'll hit you in the face, like I said at the top, and then it'll suck you in and keep you there. And the storytelling is what's really important to me. I know that I think it's, Amy is the vocalist, and I know that she worked really hard on the lyrics for this one at shows, and well done on that front. The music's great. All those things are good, but her out front with those stories is just really, really incredibly well done. I liked Capital. The fucking take on Scott Morrison is fucking beautiful, and that's where you want the punk rock attitude to come into things. The anti-establishment kind of stuff kicks into things there. The observational side, really nicely done. And, all in all, it's a short, sharp, punchy listen that's a lot of fun with a lot of depth and a bit of meanness to it and some stuff that'll make you think, because that bit of darkness is in there. Like I said, there's a gritty feel about this one that's refreshingly honest, if that makes sense. It's just got some real urban street fight grit, which is really cool. I did enjoy this one a lot. Won't be for everyone. This is not something that's going to be mass cross appeal, but if this gets you, you're going to enjoy it for a long time. I actually said in my note here, my score will probably go higher as the year goes on because it's one of those ones that you'll come back to. It's one of those ones you'll come back to more and more often, I think, than you think. But anyway, so it's just down to taste, but it's very well done, very well executed. So I got an 8 out of 10. Hertz, Knifey, Capital, and Security were my standouts in this one as well. So we crossed over a bit. We've got a couple of different ones too, though. So there we go. Get some comments before we move on to the next one. So Grant Ale over on Periscope. So we've got a comment on Periscope. Thanks for joining us. I think you're a new one tonight. I'm late. Have we done Andrew W.K. yet? No, we haven't. We've got one more. We're going to do Anette Olzon in a second. Then we'll do Andrew W.K. after that. So stick around for a few minutes. We'll get to that review for you just very, very shortly. What do we got here? Okay, cool. Dean's put the link for the godlaws.com product. All right, cool. We're going to go and check that out. Tough said, I can't hate them thanks to the lockdown. I've got the same hairstyle as their guitar player. Now, the videos they've got are very interesting, so go and check out the videos. They're pretty cool. But he's also gone, someone's pretty cool. I'll add to my workout list. All right, cool. Enjoy. I'm glad. So we got someone there that's enjoying what we got going on. So it's an interesting one. Go and check it out for something a bit different. It's a lot, like I said, more Tim's area of expertise than yours and mine, Dave. But I'm glad that it hooked not just me, but it hooked you as well, and it made you sort of appreciate it more than I thought. Yeah, very, very clever. There's an art to doing these things the right way, and they smoked it in that regard. So well done to them. Well done. All right. Next come off the rank, second of 3 reviews. So Andrew W.K. to come after this one. That's our main event tonight. But right now we're going to go to Anette Olzon. So there's links to these clips in the description or in the comments. Take your pick. The next one is Anette Olzon, and the reference track is Sick of You. So Anette Olzon, Sick of You, while we go on to our next review of the evening. So this is Anette Olzon with Strong. 11 tracks for 52 minutes. Second studio album, the former Nightwish singer, released September 2021 via Frontiers Records. Co-written and produced by Magnus Carlsen, mixed by Jakob Hansen. 3 singles have been released, including Fantastic, Fanatic, and Parasite. This album seems to take a heavier direction than her debut solo record as well. Now, Dave, this is much more in your wheelhouse because this is your area of expertise. So how did you go with this one?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to hearing this release for a long time. I've been a big fan of Annette's since she was in Nightwish, and I thought she got a bit of a backlash from the fans back then, but I thought she did a fantastic job. But that's a story for another day. It was interesting to see what she would do with her solo album, and this is very heavy and very melodic. The lyrics are very well crafted, as the title of the album suggests. Strong. It's all about strength, confidence, and things are pretty observant. The band has done a really good job of writing music that's suited to her range and her strengths. The guitars and keyboards work really well together and produce some interesting backdrop for her, and it all fits together nicely. But very much the focus here is on Annette, and I don't think that they overplay or do anything too flashy or too orchestral or any look how fast I can play solos. It serves its purpose. It's good to listen to, but yeah, the focus here is on Annette. It sounds like she's got something to prove for this release. I mean, she did cop a bit of crap throughout the years, and as much as I like the Dark Element that she did that little project a few years ago, I think this is the best I've heard from her since leaving Nightwish. Okay. And the other cool thing is nothing on here reminds me of anything she did in her time with Nightwish, Whereas the Dark Element, there were a few riffs and melodies. It's like, yeah, it reminds me of that. But yeah, she put all that behind her, and seems to be her comfort zone, and she sounds amazing throughout. Just her being her. I'm not sure about the harsh male vocals. I mean, they do add another layer to the songs when they come along, and they're done really well. There's nothing wrong with them, but they just kind of feel out of place. I think it would have been cool if it was just Anette handling all the vocals, because she wouldn't do the harsh shit, but she can do the darker, lower register, which she's done a few times in some of these songs, and I thought that it wasn't really necessary, especially since it's not really... maybe it is in Finland or Sweden, but I don't know any of these other musicians. Like, you got Marco in Nightwish, who does the heavier growls, but he's also a personality in the band. I don't know who these people are, so hearing other vocals on this album when it's all pretty much focused on Anette was a bit odd. It might grow on me, though, but I've listened to this quite a few times, and the more I listen to it, the more I like it. There's more to discover, more little melodies hidden there. There's recorded well, songs are fun. There's a very cool scream from Anette at the start of Catcher of My Dreams.
Yeah, I did notice that one.
That was very cool. And she adds a little bit of personality, a little bit of a grin halfway through. But yeah, I gave this 8 out of 10. Bye, 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 Sick of You, Strong, and Catcher of My Dreams are my standouts.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, you referenced it the last time we reviewed anything to do with Anette was for the Dark Element, and that was quite the divisive review. That was indeed. The view count on that is nuts. Go and check it out and look at the comments we got going on that one. There are a lot of people that don't like what we had to say. You loved it. Some of us not so much. So it was one of those divisive ones, but it was fun. All right. As expected, this falls into that symphonic metal category, but it's less symphonic than you might think. The string hits or the key hits, whatever you want to put it as, they were more for impact than for overall compositional, impact in that. Oh, fuck, that's really badly put, isn't it? They were designed to bring in impact and not there to be the main centerpiece of the songwriting. This is very guitar-driven, very riff-heavy. Not a huge amount of solos and stuff. They do just enough in that regard, but this is very much, like you said, all about Anette and her voice. They've done a really good job in the mix and in the writing and the performances of conveying that. Her storytelling is good on this one. I prefer these lyrics much more to what she did with the Dark Element, and which was the sticking point. But I think vocally, it's probably the best I've heard her sing as well. I haven't got as much experience with her as you have, but I think this could be her best vocal, which is pretty bloody good. I mean, you might disagree, but I think it's up there, if nothing else.
She sounds amazing.
Yeah. She's really doing some nice harmonies. Like I said, the mix suits her really nicely. She's got a nice wail or scream when she wants to belt it out, which is cool. Nice use of the different registers as well. And she doesn't come across as too meaty or too thin. She really does know how to flesh out and then to dial it back. So she has these really nice soft touches, and then she has some really nice aggression when the song calls for it. Like you, the male vocal, it's not overused on this one. It's again another sort of accent point on this one. So I didn't mind it. It wasn't overdone. It was only done on a few tracks here and there to sort of, I guess, again, bring that sort of punch to things. It wasn't strictly required, but I didn't object to it. I thought it worked around it pretty well. This is pretty hook. Like, it's got more hooks in it than you think, though, too, speaking about this sort of stuff. So, it's driven, it's heavy, it's very rockin', but it's it's metal, I guess, but it's going for it. But there's a lot more hook in the melody than you might expect. So, the composition's well thought out. The performances are all good in this. There's nothing overly complicated going on. It is very much about write some good songs and give her the space to shine. And they've done a really good job in that regard. All in all, there's that sort of digitized tone to this kind of thing, which actually sounds like a Frontiers record. I think Frontiers labels, when it comes to this genre, have a particular sound attached to them now. That's because I have a lot of crossover with producing and that going on. So it does fit that mold. If you don't like it, this isn't going to please you, but it's actually pretty well done. And it's pretty well balanced. There's enough push and pull in this to keep you interested for sure. I just a little bit crunched. I thought the keys could have been a little bit warmer, but that's about the only things I'd really change on this one at all. Like I said, and that's meant to be the standout, and they've done that just fine. Sad Lullaby was a really nice nod in the middle of this album. I like the space and the melody in that one. It actually stood out to me in a big way, that song, and there's some nice lead work on that one as well. I think the first half of this album is stronger than the second half, but you do get a bit more diversity and different tastes of things in the second half of this one. So I liked what they did with Catcher of My Dreams. That was, for an example, something a bit different toward the back end of the album, which is nice. Look, if you like the genre, this is one you have to check out. If you don't like the genre, it's not going to change your mind, but it is at the same time more guitar-driven and less symphonic. So it might be one to check out if you're a bit over the whole symphonic thing, but still want a touch of that in your music. This is pretty good. Very solid album, very well put together, well written, performed. It has all you want from this style of music, so check it out. 8 out of 10 from me. Sick of You, Sad Lullaby, and Strong were my standouts on this one. All right, got some comments coming through on this one as well. So, all right, let's go back here. So, Grant Alexander Smith on Facebook. I'm late. Did I miss Andrew W.K? We haven't done it yet. We're about to do it in just a minute. Going to get through these comments, and then we're going to get into it. So, we're really, really close now. So, just hang around for a few minutes more, and we'll get there. Tough said, this should be in the Witcher game. It's pretty cool. All right, nice. Dean came up with a hot topic / question. I'll get back to that after the next review. We'll get on to that one soon. Jason on YouTube. Hey, Dave, thanks for tuning me on to Nightwish all those years ago. I remember you were gutted when she exited the band. I still prefer Floor and Nightwish, but I've got to say this new solo album from Annette is great. So there we go, Dave. Nice. That's awesome. Cheers for the feedback, Jason. That's awesome.
Cheers, man. If you're the Jason I'm thinking of, you're rock, man. If you're not the Jason I'm thinking of, you're rock anyway. You're a Nightwish fan.
Nice. All right. That works too. Sumalit says, I have both Dark Element albums. Didn't make that connection. So there you go. This does sound different to the Dark Element. I will say that from the start. Tough also got a bit of Epica vibes from it. Not quite as...
a little bit.
Okay, you got that too?
Camelot too.
Okay. All right. Well, you know more about it than I do, so I'm going to defer to your expertise in this genre of music there, Dave. And Dean said, Annette, great melodies and fairly enjoyed it. Nice. Cool. So generally speaking, another one that's getting people's attention. All right, people are enjoying what we're putting forward so far. Let's get into the main event of the evening. Dean, we'll get to your little question / hot topic in a little bit. Let's get to it. In the links or in the comments now, check out a track from Andrew W.K. You people have been waiting for it. Now we're going to talk about it. Andrew W.K. is the artist. The song is Everybody's Sins, which is the latest video from the album. So that's your reference. Andrew W.K., Everybody's Sins. That's your reference track for this review while we go along. So, Andrew W.K., our main event of the evening, God is Partying. 12 tracks, 52 minutes, the 6th studio album from the American musician released September 2021 by Napalm Records. Produced by Andrew W.K. and Ted Young. 2 singles have been released in Babylon and I'm in Heaven. This is the definition of a solo project because Andrew has done all the instruments himself while helping with production. So this is definitely all him. Dave, how did you go?
Okay. We've got a few fans of this watching, so this is going to be interesting, but bear with me, okay? I have heard of this guy. I'm familiar with the album cover of I Get Wet. That was in just about every second magazine back in the day when that came out, but I've never actually listened to his music, so this is my first taste of Andrew W.K. Yeah. And I was expecting this to be a lot different, and I think that was partly because of the album title. It's expecting kind of party music with God is Partying as your title, and I was expecting an upbeat rock music, and it's actually close to anything but. The first song is kind of slow, dark, riffing, kind of depressing emo territory. It's not a fun listen at all. And I thought, oh dear, I'm a bit disappointed. And I did like the use of the keyboards. I thought that was interesting. It's not used in the way that I'm familiar with my usual type of music. It's rather than filling out the sound, it's kind of like the tone is kind of like from an 80s sci-fi horror. It's just used to kind of as a kind of like a drum fill, but not like joining in with the guitars. And I thought that was interesting.
Atmospheric touch.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it should be. But I wasn't really enjoying it as it was going along. I can't fault the musicianship. I thought it was very well done. If you're in the mood for this, you'd love it. I would have loved this when I was 16, when I was a pissed off teenager. But it wasn't getting me on my first listen. I found it too moody. Until towards the end, there's a song called My Tower, which it goes for about 6.5 minutes, and for some reason, fucking long songs always work well with me. But at this point, I started to get what this is kind of all about. Interesting song structure to that. I was like, this is weird. I kind of call it epic symphonic emo rock. I know it sounds strange, but that's where it started to get my attention. There's a lot more going on here than what I originally thought, and there's a very abrupt change at the end of that song. It's kind of like when you had cassettes and you would press record too early and you cut the end of a song like that. But it worked, and it's just for that last 24 seconds. And then directly after that, you get this piano ballad called And Then We Blew Apart. And I'm like, okay, we're switching gears. This is something different again. And then you get like a radio edit at the very end of the album. Then you got, but before that, there's 2 songs that sound like they're straight out of the 80s. Song called I Made It and Not Anymore. And that was quite a surprise because it's such a shift in mood, and it changes this album dramatically. And just when I thought, I know what this guy's going to deliver at this album, it throws a curveball. And this guy's obviously got a lot of musical influences, and he seems to be a fan of a lot of different genres, and he's brought them all together into this one big thing. And with that song, I Made It, I'm saying, okay, this kind of reminds me of Meatloaf. I don't know if it's like a concept album or a collection of themes, but it kind of unfolds like a story. And the Alice Cooper philosophy when he did a live show is, you do all the dark stuff, but you always leave your audience on a high. And it kind of, that's what this album, it finishes on a high. So I'll give it a few more listens because it's intriguing and there's definitely some talent there, but I'm trying to figure out what this guy's all about. It's probably one of the most unique things I've heard in a long time because I got things from metal to punk to emo to industrial, symphonic rock, 80s key, synth, piano. It's all there. Yeah. It's such a wide selection of influences for this guy to draw upon. So as I said, he's obviously a fan of a lot of different types of music, and it's cool that he can bring them all together into something that's coherent. And it might not grab you to start with, and my first experience listening to this guy wasn't all that flash until I got towards the end. But it's certainly an interesting release. I gave this 8 out of 10, and that might grow because I will be listening to this more. But my standouts were My Tower and I Made It.
All right, cool. Well, we're going to agree and we're going to disagree at the same time. It's going to be interesting to see this plays out. Okay. Grant has put a comment here, which I'll get to all the comments shortly, so keep your thoughts coming as we go through. But he's gone, there seems to be distortion synth, and that's very true, especially in the first half of this album. There's a lot of that going on. In fact, in a lot of respects, it's more out front than the guitar is, which is an interesting way of doing things on this one. Now, if you're thinking of Andrew W.K, normally everyone's thinking of Party Hard. That is nowhere near this fucking album. There's that is the song that everyone sort of knew, or that's when he cut through in really big time to mainstream out here anyway. This is the definition of a solo project. I mean, he does a very, very good job across the board, performance-wise, writing-wise, all the things are well done. This has the diversity which Dave has touched on, though. It's very almost eclectic. Not quite. It does fit, but it is a pretty eclectic listen. And you get a lot more, I think, diversity and stranger stuff in the second half of the album. Like some of this reminded me of stuff you'd hear or you'd expect to hear on things like Stranger Things, which is an 80s themed TV show, which I know Dave doesn't like it, but a lot of us behind the scenes do like.
I like that show. I just hate Winona Ryder. Can't act like it.
I was waiting for that comment when I brought that up.
About her, it's a fantastic show.
Yeah. But anyway, look, this is actually pretty dark, and it's a lot of it's dark and melodic, but there's a brooding kind of intensity to this. For an album title that says God is partying, this doesn't feel like that. This feels like God's partying and you've been left behind to fucking clean up the mess. That's what this album kind of feels like, which is really interesting. There's some of the ways the keys and the synth and all stuff used puts me a little bit mind of Ghost at points on this. The riffs on this are nice and solid. There's a certain digitized sound which goes to that sort of the distortion synth on this one too. So it's like the modern day heavied up version of what you might have expected from, if Deep Purple doing something today, in the tone sense of it, not in the musicality, but the tone of it all. I think the mixing is pretty straight ahead. You do get some interesting panning stuff here and there, but not a lot. I think on Babylon there was a cool little moment at the end of the song, which is nice. But yeah, this is, like I said, it's really the juxtaposition between the album title and what you're getting lyrically and mood-wise. Listening to this is very, very jarring. It's called God is Partying, and it doesn't feel like it at all. It actually feels pretty depressing. You've got some pretty, like you said before, there's almost pop dance stuff on this one, like Stay True to Your Heart feels like that. You got No One to Know, which is pretty heartfelt, which is a nice little sort of softer touch in there. The track lengths go anywhere from 6:33 to 0:57, so you got a lot of diversity and spread there as well. what I found the most consistent element of this was the syncopation, especially in the first half of the album. That really does sit there and go bang, bang, bang. And there's a syncopation to the lyrical delivery, the riffs, the synth work, the drumming, all that stuff has this pulse and beat to it. That kept the first half really uniform. Then the second half comes in, you get all the really different stuff on that one. You get some classic rock influence things in there, like Remember Your Oath and Then We Blew Apart. I Made It sort of fits into that category as well. There's nothing to fault in the performances at all. And my critique of this one comes down to, I think that some songs could have done with a trim. So, for example, I prefer the radio edit of Everybody Sins. I think the radio edit's better than the actual album track. I think that My Tower, which is one of your standouts, but I think for me it drags a bit too much. I think it could have been trimmed. They could have lost a good minute or more out of the mid-break of that song. It just didn't really, it went too long. So I think there are some tracks that could have been trimmed a little bit to make it a bit easier to consume, because we've seen a comment here that it takes a couple of listens to get your head around it. It does take a few listens. It's not one of those ones that's going to grab you from the start. It is worth listening to. It's worth persisting with. It's very well done, and there's nothing like the singing is great. He's got a great voice. The lyrical content is really interesting, and it's just one of those ones where it's going to take a few listens. It kind of is a little bit like Party Hard meets Mechanical Animals, if that makes any sense at all. There's a bit of a, if you like those two sort of aspects, you'll enjoy the record. Otherwise, it's going to be one of those ones that'll be a bit challenging for you at the same time. I don't know. It's interesting, though. It's worth listening to. It's just one of those ones where it's not going to be immediately riveting, I don't think. It's going to be one of those ones where you'll put it on, you'll go, okay. It'll make you think for a while, and then you'll come back to it a week later and go, hang on, I'm thinking about it a bit more, and then you'll come back to it again and again, and then eventually, I think over time, it'll make more sense, because he's had a lot of time to sit with this one too. He went very, very dark and quiet for a long time. So this is sort of like one of those ones where he's coming back with a bang. I mean, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of his stuff. I've heard a few things here and there. This is my first sit down and go through a record in detail like I've done tonight, but yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very, it's well done. It's interesting. It's just one of those ones that it's going to make you use this a bit more than sort of get into it. But it's worth checking out. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. I picked Babylon, Stay True to Your Heart, and I'm in Heaven, actually, on this one. If you like bands like Emigrate, this might sort of tweak your interest as well. I like it. It's a bit of a, yeah, it reminded me a little bit of what you got out of Emigrate in the past, if anyone here knows what I'm talking about in that regard. Alrighty, let's get to the comments, because there's some interesting stuff going on here. What do we got? Sumaleth jumped in and said, this is where I admit I don't know who Andrew W.K is, and that's okay. You wouldn't necessarily be alone there, because like we've covered off, not all of us listen to stuff all the time. But News jumped in to say, the Hard Rock Show and Andrew W.K, drink up, rock on, and party hard. That's the one. So Dave, you got to check out that song. That'll be the one that you'll hear it and you'll go, okay, that one. You'll know it straight away. Tuff said, I got to thank you for the music rabbit hole. I found a new album from Shaq Paris. Okay, well, let us know what the album is. I'll go and check that out too. Nudes, though, says on Andrew W.K, the first two albums are awesome, so I'll take that as well. This is what I said before too. Grant said distortion synth, so that was what he referenced there. Dean said, got a great voice. Don't mind a lot of it, to be honest, so that's cool. Tuff said, this dude is in Jackass. They are some crazy ass rockers. Anyone to do with Jackass is fucking nuts, as far as I'm concerned. Grant, who is one of the fans obviously looking for it, he's going to took me a couple of listens. So I'm glad it's not just you and I that feel that way. It's one of those ones. It's got to let it sort of, you got to stew in it a little bit. It's one of those ones you got to stew in it a few times. Dean said, got a great voice. First time hearing him, didn't mind it at all. Is he in a band at all? Was he in one? As I said, first time hearing him. I'm pretty sure he's been a solo artist his entire time through. I could be wrong, but I get that. I have a memory of that being in there somewhere too. Oh, here we go. So Grant, I think, replied to that comment saying he seems to mostly tour the same band, but he did do a one-man show here a few years ago. Okay, well, there we go. Okay. And Tuff, just for anyone paying attention, has put Shaq Paris Full Metal Jacket. All right, cool. I'll have to go and check that one out. But that brings us to the end of the reviews, and hopefully we haven't pissed off the Andrew W.K fans. It was just a bit of a different one to what we're probably expecting, especially when you look at the title. And just, that's an interesting one, that one. But, yeah, all right, cool. I like ones that make you think a bit. It'll probably be one of those ones we'll remember at the end of the year after we do, 300 or 400 albums in a year, but we'll remember it at the end of the year for sure. And that's one of the things that's cool about a release like that. You will remember it for sure when you're done with it. Good or bad, you will remember it. All right. We'll get to a bin and all that sort of stuff in a second, and I'll get to Dean's question just before we do that sort of stuff too. But before we get to the finale of how we do things tonight, make sure you're following us. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all the usual things. All those things help us get the word out about these streams. Do a few of these a week. So help us Get the word out about these things we talk about and get involved in the comments, share your experiences, whether you're tuning in live with us now or later on. If you are joining us later on, feel free to give us your thoughts. We like checking you out later on as well. So just because you're not here with us in the moment doesn't mean you can't get involved in the conversation. But yeah, like, follow, subscribe. All of our details are in the description, the comment, wherever it is the post that you're tuning into this one from. And also a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors in Squidding, Shrimping, Alt Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Please find them, give them a follow. Their details, just like ours, are in the post or the description of this episode, wherever you're tuning into it from. All right, so Bernadette Walker on Facebook. Hello, good to see you here, Bernadette. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you here, jumping in toward the end of things. Hopefully you'll go back to the start and watch the rest, because we'll be wrapping up in probably 5 or 10 minutes. Our next stream will be on Thursday, in theory, if everything goes to plan. We're going to be doing The Wild Hearts, Black Swamp Water, and Megadeth. We'll have a few other bits and pieces in there as well. That's what we're talking about for that one. What else have we got? Our next special at the end of the month is Van Halen Revisited. That'll be coming up at the end of September. Our October special will be all to do with Slipknot. It's important to note that if you're tuning into us now, join us on Saturday night this week. Our next stream is Thursday, but on Saturday night, it's not an episode, but the Antenna Awards are happening on community television. So we are doing a watch party. We're going to sit here, no planned content at all. We're going to sit here and just get shit-faced while watching the Antenna Awards to see if we win or not this time around. It's the first ever time being nominated, and so we just thought we'd sit here, and we were going to go in person and do all these sorts of things. I was actually going to be involved in presenting an award. Obviously, with COVID, we can't do that, so it's going to be a pre-recorded event, and they're going to do all the stuff they do, and we'll be just doing our thing here, trying to share it with all of you as much as we can. So please join us on Saturday night for a very special once-off event. Bernadette has saying bye. Okay, good to see you here, I guess, for briefly. She's from Australia, is alive with music. Well, thank you for joining us for however briefly it was. Hopefully you enjoyed what you have seen of the show. That's what's coming up soon. We'll get to a bin in just a second, but we have a question earlier on, and I'll go back to it. We might turn this into a hot topic. Let's just do a quick little minute on it now. Trying to find it. Okay, here it is. What's your take on bands releasing a lot of singles before the album drops these days? Would you want less singles released or more before an album? So just a quick hot take. We might do this as a hot topic, but yeah, what do you think of that one just quickly?
Yeah, I reckon no more than two. Two is a good indication of what's going to happen, and then drop the album. I've seen bands release up to 5 or 6, and it's like, well, what's the point of releasing the album when you've already released half of it already? Yeah. Unless you're just going to release a song and then turn it into an EP as maybe CD or vinyl later on. But if you've got a full-length album and you release a couple of singles, I think that's cool. But no more than 2. 3 at the most, maybe.
Yep. I'm with you, actually. I think that you're almost, maybe not quite, but we're almost at a stage where we're better off almost not releasing singles at all. I think that you drop the album and then you spend the next 12 months while you work on other stuff, dropping your singles, your videos, your lyric videos, all this sort of stuff to keep the album cycle pumping. I think maybe 1 or 2 singles prior to release just to get the appetite wet, and then drop the album and then keep using, because everyone can do so much with these devices in their hands these days. Just get lyric videos out, or simple things out for every track on the album, because everyone's going to consume stuff differently. So YouTube is important in that context, or Facebook video, all those things matter. So I think, less is now more in that regard. So drop 1 or 2, then drop the album, then spend the rest of the year, 18 months, especially if you're not going to tour it, to drop singles or new videos every month kind of thing, or every 6 weeks, to keep it fresh and kicking over. I think that's the better strategy to take these days. That's what I would like to see happen personally, because also the way we changed our platform here is we do things, we don't do reviews prior to releasing, we do it when it's already out so we can all talk about it together. And that's I want the audience to be involved in the conversation. I think that if you're doing things too far in advance, like 6 months out, by the time it drops, people have forgotten it. Attention spans are really short these days. So it's not worth it in my mind. You get more bang for buck if you just sort of do a bit less at the start and then comments. I'll get to that in a second. But fucking hell, Sumo left. But yeah, I think, basically like you, do less to start with now and then use the bulk of the album to keep it rolling along later on. You get more bang for buck that way in the effort. There's a good comment there too. Okay, cool. We got some stuff here. All right. Bernard, let's go and see you next time. Okay, good. Looking forward to your company next time around. Tough has gone. Hope you guys win. I need this show. It will save me from a lockdown hell. We'll all find out on Saturday night. We're all sitting here with fingers crossed. Like I said, it's our first time nominated in 10 years, so we are hoping for the best. He's also said Judas Priest starting a tour soon as well. Well, not in Australia, won't be. So no one's coming here anytime soon. I'll tell you that right now. Bands are like footy teams. You buy the albums hoping they did some cool stuff. Singles is a quick cash grab. It's like buying half a game. Not a bad way to put it. This is the one that made me laugh, though. Sumalith has gone, all pre-release singles should be covers by Elton John. That's why I lost my shit. That's like, okay, that'd be interesting. Interesting comment here, though, from Nudes. He's gone, I miss B-sides from singles. Just getting one song, which is on. And I agree with that. And in the age of Spotify, definitely a place of B-sides. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I miss that too. You got the. I used to just collect the singles from Metallica just for the demos that they used to put on there, because half the time they were drunk and it was amusing, or a live clip, because it was before the internet, so you didn't have live stuff on YouTube all the time. So hearing a live version of the single was a cool little package. But then you also got some stuff with bands are just being stupid. They come up with a stupid song. Like there's some funny Iron Maiden ones that you can get on collection, the B-sides, where they would do some funny stuff like that, or an interview or something like that. Yeah. And then you get like a song that didn't make the album. Like there's a Alice Cooper song called Rained All Night, which is the B-sides of Hey Stupid. And I always thought that was fucking fantastic. Just having that, I played that more than the actual A-side. Yeah. Just find some hidden gems that way. And there was an Anthrax one for Only from The Sound of White Noise, where they covered the Cowboy song from Thin Lizzy. And that was cool. So just, great stuff.
There is so much scope for this, especially with the resurgence of vinyl. The old 7-inch single can be reused. Like you could do one side with the single and maybe another song or an acoustic version of the song. Then the B side, you can have another song, which could be anything you want. It could be a cover even, or just something stupid. But then also like maybe a talking point, or, like you get the director's commentary kind of thing, get the behind the scenes chat. And especially in the age of Spotify, man, the more content, the better. You can keep dropping stuff and just have it all there. So I think B-sides, or the growth of B-sides, is actually something that's really underutilized at the moment. I think a lot of bands should use a lot more that's available at their disposal to keep things ticking over. Don't just think in terms of writing a song. You can do little bits and pieces to go around it, demo stuff. Like there's an album coming out in a couple of weeks from the Sex Pistols, which is all just fucking demo shit, all the cut tapes and stuff. And it's actually not bad, what I've heard of it so far. If you're not a fan of it, then it's not going to please you. But for what you're getting out of it, it's pretty cool. So there's a lot of scope for this sort of stuff coming out. There's a lot of scope. And I just wish that, it was more utilized. So that's definitely a thing that I'd like to see coming back in. Tough has gone. If Elton did metal, I'll buy it. Neil said, no excitement getting an album when you already have heard half of it. And I completely agree with that as well. I think the way Iron Maiden did their album this year was very, very smart. Lots of sort of viral marketing techniques, and then a couple of singles, and then the album dropped. And you watch over the next 12 months, I reckon they'll keep dropping little videos, especially with the animated side they're exploring now. They've got the budget and time. They will do a lot more in this space. I think what they're doing now is probably the smarter way to do it. You think about building up to a wrestling pay-per-view, it's usually, 6 weeks of promo leading up to it, and then it's out. I think we're wrestling fans here. I think that's a smarter way to do it because the attention span's about right for that length of time. Jason says, I just heard that Elton Cyrus Smith cover of Metallica wasn't very good. There's a lot of diversity in that cover section there, so it'll be what it'll be for everyone there, unfortunately. Elton joins Megadeth or Sabaton would make my life. Now, that would be interesting.
I'd like to hear Elton cover Wednesday 13. That'd be cool.
That should be a topic one day. Who should Elton John cover in terms of metal or rock? That would be interesting. All right. Dean says B-sides need to come back in fashion. Agree with Nudes. And where else we got? Fucking, there's a lot here. Dean said, personally, like at least 2 singles before an album, then plan further singles after release a few months later to keep the hype. Something to think about. Yep. Yeah. Tough says, I remember buying a CD single, not knowing what it was, and returned to the shop wanting to know where the rest of the songs, much to the joy of the chick working at Brash's. So, good old Brash's. There we go. I miss Brash's. Jay said, Elton playing Nothing Else Matters. The piano is amazing. Miley singing is just terrible. And that's, it is what it is in that regard. What else? Dean said the way Ace did Power Up with singles was a great personally. Yeah, that wasn't bad. That was a pretty good marketing approach there too. Probably a bit longer, but it was well done. And Sumo has gone, Queensryche's cover of Scarborough Affair was a B-side only. Faith No More's cover of Easy was originally a single only. And it's funny that I was thinking about this before, going back to the Beach Boys. Barbara Ann, one of the most well-known hits from the Beach Boys, was the B-side of the single. No one knows what the A-side was anymore. It's Barbara Ann became the big hit. So there is still plenty of room for the B-sides on that. Yeah, that was not the single. Barbara Ann was literally the B-side, and it became a bigger hit than the planned single by a long way.
Actually, same with Kiss. Beth was actually a B-side. They put the song as a throwaway, and became one of the biggest hits they had.
Yep. So you never quite know what it's going to do for you. So there we go. Dean said more singles come from Power. Apparently, I would completely believe that for sure. They will milk that for all it's worth, as well they should. But yes, going back to this conversation, definitely. Less is more prior to. Get it pumping after the fact. I think it's the best way to get bang for your buck out of it all. But that brings us to the end, I think. Here we go. A tribute to Malcolm is coming. Very, very keen to check that out. Definitely. Yeah, that would be very cool. I like what Anthrax did with In the End. The tribute to Ronnie and to Dimebag. That was a cool video. So something like that would be very, very cool in the context of Malcolm and AC/DC. Tough has just gone. Instead of rock on at the end of your show, you should say, remember to rewind your tape considering the age of your viewers. Now, not all of us are that old. We do have some younger people here with us, but it is pretty funny as well. Here we go. Another one for you. Blind Guardian's cover of You're the Voice was a B-side. So there's a lot of good content in the B-sides, and the extra ways, especially now to Spotify. Like I'm saying, there's no reason to not do these ones. It's only budget and time that stops you now. So I think more, if you're going to be in the studio, just record some shit, and just if it's fun, it's fun. And that way you've got more content to release later on. You can make an EP at the end of the year, just dumb shit you've done. Well, fuck, there's so much scope. I'll go for hours. I'll stop there, but I will go for hours on this because I believe in it in a big way. You and I have spoken about this before too, Dave. I've said this before. I really think they've got to change the way to do things, but we'll get to that another time. Now, though, it is time for the bin. So, Dave, you said before you were going to ad lib tonight.
Yeah, and then I threw one out there, and I'm going to use that one because I can't think of anything else. Not much has pissed me off at the moment. But who thought we'd live in a world where unleaded petrol would cost more than diesel? Or us poor unleaded. I know you drive diesel, and
I do.
You're lucky, but yeah, it's a crazy world. It's like
you don't like it?
I don't like it.
It was like that abrupt stop you were talking about with the review earlier on. Just fucking went bang. I'm like, oh, okay, that was very short and sharp and to the point. All right, my bin for this evening is a couple. I'm going to do a serious one to start with, but it's not going to be. I'm not going to do it for long. But it's just hypocrites and people that can't handle their social media. If you're just I don't know. If you say one thing and then you completely contradict it, that's kind of silly, especially in social because there's always receipts. And then if something on social media gets you angry enough that you think violence or it enrages you to that point where you might get violent, then log off for a while. That's just use big brain. It's not that important. But my fun bin for the night is what else we got? Geelong and Port Adelaide in the preliminary finals getting absolutely spanked and not even making it a contest. Those were the two most one-sided prelim finals we've seen for a long, long time. The two of you in the bin. Yes, I know my team's on the fucking bottom of the ladder, but I'm going to take whatever small victories I can at this point in time. By the way, the Chiefs got a good win today, so I'll take the NFL season all year long now. That's what I'll do in that regard for a bit of fun. Sumaleth jumped in saying, missing the first half hour of THRS in the bin. Good news is you can go back and watch it if you've missed it now. So not permanently in the bin. You can sort of put it in there and then take it out again. And Dean said, the bin for me is those idiots at the beach in Sydney where they have a fuckload of COVID in the state. Well, let's not get into the whole state. You and I and everyone else we know has talked about that stuff to death. I appreciate commentary. Go for it. Like, bring in the comments. I'll always read them out. But you and I are not going to get dragged into it. We've done enough of it over the years. Tuff's gone. Foxtel, Netflix have nothing to watch. We got rid of Foxtel. We fucking turfed it. So, and if you can't find anything to watch on Netflix, my God, man.
Copper Kai. If you've already watched Cobra Kai, check out Norseman. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah,
if you've got a sense of humor like Dave, you're going to really enjoy it. But Cobra Kai is definitely worth a watch. Dean said, couldn't believe those results in the finals. Port and Geelong didn't turn up. Yeah, I give Geelong a little bit of sympathy because they had a virus apparently go through the fucking ranks, but they were just so... I couldn't believe the scores because we were filming the Van Halen special that night, one of the finals, and we were just looking at the scores going, wow, that got one-sided real quick. So, yeah, it's pretty nuts. This is Tuff's version. I finished Pornhub. Oh, I've seen all the good stuff on Netflix. So there we go. When's season 2 of Pornhub coming? Get yourself some Disney Plus and just watch The Simpsons again from the start. Yeah, Dean's gone. Geelong 11 players over 30 as well. Time for a rebuild. They won't, but you're probably right. They won't. But Dave's going, what? Here we go. Seeing Cobra Kai, major cringe, but entertaining. But that's the fun. That's the fun, man. If you think that's cringe, go watch Stranger Things and let us know what you think of Stranger Things, because that's full blown 80s, man. That is such a trip down memory.
Tell me all about Winona Ryder's acting.
Yeah, we'll get that debate started again, because you and I and the rest of us have gone around in circles on for hours. The chat we have, I should go back and pull that chat out. That was fucking hilarious.
It was like night after night, because I binged the whole 3 seasons in a week. I'm watching it again. She gets worse.
Oh, fucking hell. Dave's gone, love Pornhub. Well, I'm glad you do. And he's gone, howdy, motherfucker. So good to have you here with us tonight, mate. Love the company. And Tony Ashcroft is gone, thanks again for the show, guys. You're most welcome. We love doing it. It's a lot of fun. Here we go. All right. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and thanks for that too. Who's my tip for the final? All right. He's hoping Melbourne for Neil Danaher. Do you have a tip for the grand final, old Dave, or are you just completely tuned out at this point in time?
Melbourne, I guess. That's the only one I know is in the final.
It's Melbourne versus the Bulldogs. Now, no shit. Yeah, Melbourne versus the Bulldogs.
Yeah, when I was like 7, Bulldogs was my team. So, yeah, go me. Okay. Fuck Melbourne, go Bulldogs.
I think, look, in the history, I don't mind either team winning, to be honest. I know the Doggies have won one not too long ago. I actually have a sneaking suspicion they might get up, believe it or not. I could be very wrong. It's still a couple of weeks away yet. But I think that the Demons would be the more romantic one, especially like you said for Neil. I think it would be nice. I think Treloar has another shot at the tank. I wouldn't mind Treloar getting a flag just because of the way he got booted out of Collingwood. I wouldn't mind Treloar getting one, but at the same time, I think that for Danaher, it'd be nice to see Melbourne get the flag. That would be thereabouts. Nude's gone Bunnies for the NRL Grand Final. I think that the Storm are probably going to be pretty hard to beat this year again. Here we go. Tough says, Dog show spirit, but it's a day for the Demons. It is probably a day for it would be romantic, but here we go. Go Doggies. So from David, it's going to be an interesting one. We'll have some fun with that one. And Tough is gone. I'm just glad the Tigers are done. You, me, and everyone else, mate, except for Brendan. Brendan and my wife. Actually, I should shut up now. But yeah. And David's gone Rabbitohs all the way. Look, it'll be interesting. The NRL finals coming up soon. So over the sports nuts amongst us, which Dave is not. If it was wrestling, he'd be well and truly heavily engaged in it right now, but the rest of us not. Look, it'll be a good game. I think that the good thing about the grand final coming up for the AFL is that I think it will be a great game. I genuinely believe it will be a great game. I don't think it'll be anything like the prelims. I think both teams will really come out firing, and it'll be really interesting to watch because they're both a good match for each other as well. So it'll be a dynamic as hell game to watch. It'll be a really, really up-tempo grand final, which would be different. It'd be a bit similar to Collingwood West Coast a few years ago, in my opinion. Now, I think that's my tip. It'll be a cracking game. Dean's gone up the Storm. David's gone, don't fuck with the wife. Yes, we all know that, especially Dave and myself. And hope it's not close, not one side yet. And there's a few of us here going, go Storm. This is we're a Melbourne show. Melbourne town is our home ground. So yeah, Storm for us, I think. Here we go. Tough. Why are you complaining about Netflix if you're doing this? You should watch some of those Japanese game shows. They are great. Oh fuck! They are weird, those shows, but all right. And Dean's gone, that was a great game and close, mate. For me, that was heartbreaking as a Collingwood supporter. We were so far in front. Then West Coast just turned it on, and they deserved to win at the end of the day. That Dom Sheed goal was fucking... I'll never forget that. I wasn't at the game, but I was at the Collingwood thing they did at Victoria Park and was like, yeah, that was just sort of, ouch, that hurt a lot. But anyway... Fucking hilarious. I'm glad everyone's enjoying it. Okay, Dean, I was in Perth and went nuts. It would have gone absolutely bonkers over there. It was, like I said, well deserved. I can't complain. It was a cracking game. Just got pipped. That's just how it works. One of those things. So close, so close. Hopefully, we'll be there again in a few short years. I think our coach coming in is going to do some good things, but we'll see what happens next year with all that sort of stuff. And Dave is going to fall asleep in a minute now. So we'll get off football and we'll start wrapping this up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Hopefully, you've all had as much fun as we have had here. Keep the comments coming even after we're done. Oh, okay. One last question. We're going to grand final entertainment. We should probably do a hot topic on this, actually. Who should be the grand final entertainment? Yeah. We're not safe for that shit, man. It's primetime TV. There's no way letting us anywhere near it.
No, we'll get up there and sing Imagine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're going to do a drunken rendition. We'll do Meatloaf's version of it. Yeah. That'll be what happens there. I have a sneaking suspicion that a band like Eskimo Joe might get the nod. They haven't been around for a while. They might be able to pull them together for WA because we're all in different protocols and that. It'll be a local band from over there, and I think that that's one with a high enough profile to get a run at it. I could be very, very wrong, but that's just a sneaking gut feel. No information on it at all. Just what I think might be. If you get that band to come out of it for one last dance, that'd be it. It'd be a very high-profile event worth doing for them, I think. Meatloaf again with Elton. Yeah, that's not happening at the moment. And Metallica singing Yellow Brick Road. That would be entertaining. That I would actually wouldn't mind hearing a version of that. That would be cool.
Wow, it's the Tin Man.
And Elton John singing Push the Little Daisies. That would be...
Oh, man.
Nude's got a good point. King Parrot would be fun. Won't happen, but it would be entertaining. Man, I would love to see King Parrot do the Wall of Death on the middle of the ground. That would be cool. Yeah, no one gets out alive with the way it would work out. It'd be like Calder Park all over again for those that were there. All right, this is going to go nuts. We're going to get out of here so we can all sort of get on with the rest of the night. It is a work night for us after all. Dean says Legs Electric. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some local boys get a go. Oh, girl, sorry, in this case. But yeah, them. So Legs Electric, Hail Mary would be cool, but Ragdoll would be, I think Ragdoll and Legs Electric under a band like Eskimo Joe would be that'd be pretty cool for mine. Don't like the odds, but that would be one that would get my attention for sure. What I would love to see happen is in the telecast, if they use a lot of the chances to play some WA music in the ads and that. Like, imagine Chainsaw Hookers. I don't know if you know much about Chainsaw Hookers, but Chainsaw Hookers would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. They were a great band. So, yeah, check out that one if you haven't already, but that'd be fun to see them get together for one last dance. That'd be cool. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Might do a little bit of a think about it and try and come back and see what we'd like to see happening in that regard. I might make it a post. We'll do something in that regard, in that space. Shit, that's bad, tough. I'd settle for the Veronicas at the moment. I'm so bored. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you're that bored, go and check out our playlists on Spotify. There's music in there for you to enjoy for days. All right, we're going to get out of here. I've said it a few times, but now it's actually time to go. Let's do it. Anything else you wanted to say, Dave, before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. I had fun.
You good? All right. It's been fun, everyone. Thank you all so much for your company, for the comments. It's always a blast when we get the interaction going, and it's the biggest reason why we do it, to be honest. It's a whole lot of fun. So thank you, one and all. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Until next time, I'm Andrew.
I'm Dave.
As always,
Drink up.
rock on.
Rewind your video.